Good afternoon, everybody. I have a bit of a tickle in my throat, so hopefully I don't sound too crazy in the room. I'm going to wait a few more minutes to see if anybody shows up in person. All right, it's 5 after. I think it's probably time to get moving. Can you guys hear me in the courtroom?
Yes,
We can hear you.
Okay, good. I can hear you too. Well, unfortunately, it looks like even somebody who told me they were going to be in person isn't there. So doesn't look like we have a quorum. So I'm just going to skip to a few of the items that are not voting items. First, is there anybody on the commission who has any announcements for the group?
just to clarify, so these minutes will not be saved, correct? Because we don't have a quorum, but do you just want me to take some just so that we know what we talked about?
You know, if you don't mind to take notes, I would really appreciate that for, but yeah, they won't be formal minutes since it's not a full group. Anybody have announcements? Okay.
Erica, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead,
So
Beverly.
the only announcement I have is that, and I don't know if this would apply to anybody in the group, but the downtown outreach grant process is live. Downtown outreach grants are for agencies who are working with people who are unhoused or in danger of becoming unhoused, and it's a annual grant fund that is administered by the city. The grant applications are at bloomington.in.gov/CFRD. So in case you can pass that on to agencies, most of the agencies that we work with have gotten it. It's been in a press release, but still, if you can pass it on, that would be great.
Thanks, Beverly.
Mhm.
All right, any other announcements from the group? All right, the next thing I just want to put on everybody's radar is that we are supposed to elect our 2023 officers at the next meeting in December. The positions available are my position, which is president, vice president, and secretary, which is what Sarah does. I will no longer be on SUDAC after December, so I am not going to be eligible to run for one of those positions. So if any commission members are interested in running for any of those slots, please email me. And I will have Molly Turner King also email those who aren't here to put that announcement out there as well. So, so that's just something to think about for the next meeting. I think, as you all know, I have attended a lot of these meetings in my car on my way home from Indianapolis, which is not necessarily my preferred method of having a meeting, but I will say that I will be in person in December in the courtroom. So hopefully that'll, I don't know, make this easier, but I'm going to do my best to see if I can encourage folks on the commission to run for those positions in 2023. I also just want to let everybody know that Andrea Havel, who used to be on the commission, did provide me with a large expandable folder full of her information from the last summit that we held about 3 years ago. So I will have that to turn over to somebody who's going to be currently on the commission in 2023 for planning the next summit. But just wanted to let you all know that I did in fact receive that. I think that's all the items on the agenda that are not voting items. Is there anything else that anybody would like to discuss while we're here today?
I do have a question. So I know in our bylaws, it says that we have to have at least 6 people in person to have a quorum. My question is, how difficult is it to change the bylaws so that, because it seems like it's a issue that we have enough people like in person, and I think in order to also try to recruit more people for SUDAC and be a little bit more flexible, because not everyone works in the downtown area, or they might have different health issues that prevent them from being at an in-person meeting. So I was wondering, how difficult is it to change our bylaws so that way we can hold a quorum when despite there not being at least 6 people present?
So there's actually a difference between the bylaws and our hybrid meeting policy. And so I think this actually falls under our hybrid meeting policy. I can discuss this with County Attorney Molly Turner King and have an answer in December for you. And if we can change it, then maybe I will put together a draft. But my feeling on this is that the policy that we adopted as a board was something that county legal had put together based on state law regarding public
It's based on state law, isn't it?
I believe that it is, yes. So I don't think we'll be able to get fewer than 6. Like, I don't think that's going to work, unfortunately. You know, it's been a point of frustration for me because I don't like to waste my time and I don't like to waste other people's time. And I do think that this commission has done some really exciting and important things. And I would like to see that continue. But you know, it's really disheartening when I can't get 6 people in the room. You know, in the past, we used to have, well, we didn't have the option of a hybrid meeting. So they had to be everybody had to be in person. And I felt like we accomplished a lot more that way. But I also understand that having a hybrid option is really convenient for people and it can make it more accessible for folks to participate. So it's a balance, but I'll talk to county legal and see if it's an option. But I truly believe that the policy we adopted is based on state law and probably can't change the number of in-person required.
I think you're right about that, Erica, but along that same line, I mean, I think there are some things that might be able to be changed, and I wonder about this time of day. I mean, I know we've always met at the
Yeah.
same time of day, but this could be really inconvenient for people who are working and cannot get away from their jobs in the middle of the day, or I mean, I think that would be something to consider too, is if this is the time of day we want to continue to meet, because if this is not related to someone's job, you know, you're not doing it related to your job, or you work outside the downtown area, it can make it really inconvenient to participate.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Beverly. So maybe everybody who's on this call, if you can think of a more convenient time to meet, and maybe just email that to me and I'll try to see if we can come up with a consensus to talk about in December. Maybe that's something I'd thought about too. Maybe every 3rd Friday just isn't a good time for people. So yeah, let me know if you have more convenient times for you that might make it a little easier. I mean, it was always nice for me, except until I joined this Indianapolis board because my office is only about a block away from the courthouse. But it's been hard this year with my board meetings up in Indianapolis. So, okay, anything else for the good of the order?
So we do now have 6 people here.
Do we? Hooray! That's excellent. Okay, that being the case, let's get through some of our business here. First item of business is you should have all been sent the September 16th, 2022 meeting minutes. Do we have any corrections or discussion needed on the minutes? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 16th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll third it.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, any opposed, same sign? All right, motion carries. Okay, so moving down to item number 4 on the agenda, it's the response to the Sam Quinones events. You should have all received a draft letter to the editor and a draft letter to Mr. Quinones. I think we discussed the letter to the editor part in detail at a previous meeting. It probably was our September meeting. Is this something that we still want to do? And if so, is there any further discussion needed?
I mean, I think it's something we should do. I mean, what makes us make a statement about who we are, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, I know it's taken a long time, probably been better like the day after we did it, but wheels of justice move slow sometimes.
Okay. Well, there's a draft out there. I'll entertain a motion to approve it if the body's in favor.
And is this for both the letter to the editor and also and then the letter to him, or is that 2 separate things that we're looking to discuss?
I think we should handle it as two separate items. So I would start with the letter to the editor.
I'll make a motion to accept the letter to the editor. I liked it, so.
I mean, I'll second it.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Wait, I just
Aye.
wanna have a quick discussion here.
Oh.
Oh, okay,
What this is in the letter is not what I saw at the Busker Chumley. Okay, I have to say that. So you guys probably saw it in the lunch and learn. I wasn't at the lunch and learn, but I didn't hear this language at the Busker Chumley when he spoke that night. So I don't know what to do with that.
sorry, can you, specifically, which language are you talking about?
He gave two presentations. He did the lunch and learn for us,
Yeah.
right? And then he
Yes.
also gave us a speech at the Busker Chumley the following night.
Uh-huh,
Think on that. I didn't hear the language that people had to be arrested to get treatment. He didn't say that. And that's what I'm seeing in the letter.
I don't think he said it in that exact phrasing, but, he did talk about, at the Buzzkirk event, he did specifically talk about how some people are not gonna go to treatment on their own, and then he highlighted the jail, the Kenton County, Kentucky jail as, a good model for getting people into treatment. Does that change anybody's vote? I think, I think technically we voted to approve it, but does anybody feel uncomfortable with that?
I mean, I feel uncomfortable with him as a human being on the planet, let alone the message he's bringing. I do understand that he cleaned some stuff up at that, but it's like his general message is still one of the carceral system being a good way to treat drug users. And I don't find that he has, I mean, I think not just this per se, but just his entire form of how he's speaking, bothers me personally, the fact that he cleaned it up is great, but like, what do we believe? The first one or the second one? You know what I mean? Like, maybe he said stuff he didn't quite mean, or maybe he got bad feedback and wants to have good ratings. I don't, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
No, and I hear you. Like, if I would have, I heard different things from the bus. So like, people went there, like, walked out of it. I heard, were like,
At the Busker Chumley?
they hated it. It was horrible. But I wasn't there, so I can't speak about it. And I trust you. So like, I trust that you're telling me the truth. So I'm sure it might have been different. The problem is his whole entire rhetoric is that like he's a journalist who speaks as an expert. That's a dangerous thing, a very dangerous thing. And I don't think that like all of them is bad. I like some of this, like some of the we talk about community. I think we talked about this before. Like the idea that you talked about it needs to be community led, community driven is right up my alley. Yeah, I'm glad. But then when you throw in that, some people who can't get clean need to be incarcerated, or that incarcerated is even a okay method to deal with drug use, isn't something I can palate. You know what I mean? And I feel like he pushes that rhetoric on a constant basis.
Is he talking about
Forced coercive treatment, you believe? Wholeheartedly.
I think if you read his book, it's definitely part of the conclusion in his book is that it is more compassionate, in his opinion, to arrest these folks and put them into treatment versus trying to let them come to it on their own. Because
Okay.
they will not make that decision on their own.
So I know I said this before, but I'll just say it again for the record. I mean, I think, that he's a journalist. He is writing from his observations. And I think we need, and if that was in his book and we invited him anyway, we invited him supposedly with that knowledge of what his opinion was. So I'm not saying not to send the letter, and I actually read it earlier and I don't remember exactly how strongly it was worded, but I think that there are probably multiple ways to address any given situation, and that is his opinion about that one. And I understand what Nick is saying about he's a journalist who people are looking at as an expert, but I'm also looking at him as a journalist and an opinion, like he's voicing an opinion. So I'll just leave that there, and we'll go with the will of the body. But I do think that if we were uneducated about his opinion and we invited him and he expressed his opinion, then the onus isn't really on him, it's on us for not doing our due diligence ahead of time.
Mm.
So,
I think you're right on the money. I think that was what kind of why we felt we needed to write the letter is that, I mean, at least when we were talking about the first time, don't you? I mean, I thought like the whole idea was that we did this, it was on us to say something about it, you know what I mean?
Mhm. I think we wanted to differentiate our opinion from his. Like, I think that was the conversation. All right, so does that change? I think we have formally approved the letter to the editor. Does anybody want to change that outcome or should we move on?
Do you want to reword it or something, or what? Is there a part that you can- Yeah. Is there parts of it you would reword?
I can't hear you very well, Nick.
I'm sorry, I said, are there parts she would reword or, sorry, I'm sorry. I'd rather us all in cohesion than not. Well, if you feel about it, we all, I mean.
I can't tell if somebody's talking.
Yeah, if somebody in the room is talking, we can't. hear.
Sorry, she was reading the letter to Sam instead of the letter to the editor, so she's looking over the letter to the editor now.
Oh, got it. Okay.
She's good with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the letter to the editor doesn't necessarily say like, oh, he's wrong for having this opinion. I think it just more spells out, this is what our opinion is, and this is what he shared. It's different from how we operate, and that's what it is. I don't think it's necessarily like scolding him, or at least that's not how I read what the LTE was.
Okay. All right. Do we feel okay about the LTE? Is it okay to move on to the next letter? Okay. The next letter is a draft letter to Mr. Canones directly. I think it was suggested by a couple commission members that we try to do this. I don't know that we've had a lot of discussion about the draft or what it should contain. So I'm open to discussion on that letter.
I'm looking at it. I didn't remember there was a second letter. I'm kind of slow sometimes.
That's okay.
I guess my first question with it is, kind of what Beverly was talking about with like, oh, it's kind of on on us, like we saw it, like we should have done more of our own research. And so I guess for me, should we have hit like, I think maybe at least sending him some sort of letter that explains like, this is what our position is, and explain to him like what our position is as far as harm reduction goes. And I don't know if maybe we should say like, that we disagree with this, and this is what our position is. And I don't know whether or not we mentioned that we're also submitting an LTE or something, because I can understand some of the way that we phrase this letter, although it is how we feel. Like, I don't know if maybe it's necessarily going to be received
Anyway, we need it.
very well, because I could see him, like what Beverly said, just kind of being like, well, I have a book out, like I feel like you all should know what my position is. And so that's kind of where maybe we could just say, we disagree with this position, and these are some of the actions that we are taking within our community.
I like that thought. I wonder if anybody wants to take my draft and adapt it. And like, I'm not married to it at all. I tried to summarize what people were talking about at the last meeting that we had about it. And so, I would welcome somebody else taking a crack at the draft.
Are you nodding, Sarah?
Could I get a copy of the draft? I can't find it in my emails.
I think it
Good
might
idea.
be in the email that she sent, the one with the September meeting minutes. Yeah, I think it's one of the, yeah, I think it's one of those.
I'm happy to send it again when I'm back in my
I'm
office.
sorry, I was just telling Nick, where, a copy of this was, so.
Mhm.
So I promise we aren't having some sort of really important discussion. So
I could kind of hear you. So I was just gonna say, I can also send it again if it helps bump it to the top of people's inboxes. I should be back in my office, I don't know, an hour after we conclude this meeting. So,
Erica, I'd be happy to work with you on a draft or updating a draft if you want.
great. I appreciate that, Melanie. I think especially with your experience with harm reduction, that would be really helpful.
Rebecca at first, because I didn't hear any of his presentations, and if you did, like, I'd rather you, yeah. Sure.
So are you suggesting we table this until December, I assume?
Yeah, I think so. So we can work on the draft.
If you guys didn't hear that, Melanie and Sarah are going to work on a draft for the letter. So
Thank you, Melanie and Sarah. I really appreciate it.
I'm always down
Um,
to take a look if you floated by me.
Okay. Okay, so the next thing I have on the agenda are lunch and learn programs. Nick, have you had any luck with Dr. Cook? Excuse
I'm
me.
gonna try one more time. I tried through our,
Mhm.
we're on a coalition together, and I guess the staff, he lost the email. I don't know. I'm gonna try one more time, and then if somebody else has a better in, Dr. Cook? Will Cook, okay. Yeah, I'll keep trying out. In the meantime, we could probably think of somebody else even if we need to,
Oh, gosh, sorry.
but I'll try one more time actually right now.
Okay, so I would suggest too that we think of other potentials for the next meeting to discuss. We just may want to start thinking about our 2023 programming. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to kind of backtrack. I was just thinking about something that was in one of the emails sent out. So I know that we already approved the LTE. My question is, did we discuss Or do we need to discuss it at all with any other groups that had helped sponsor any of his events? Like, I thought that maybe there was an IU sponsor and maybe another nonprofit or, huh? For the Sam Quinones.
Beacon Centerstone, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to basically backtrack, but do we need to reach out to any of those other groups before sending any letters or submitting, publicizing any letters? Or is this just like, this is our position, and then if any other groups want to submit something, they can?
I can do that. I was on at least some of the calls with the other sponsors when we were planning. And I know that like the Center for Rural Engagement at IU and some of the Centerstone folks really did take issue with the same thing that we have taken issue with. Which, I'll be honest, I didn't read the book till after we approved him coming, but then I was like, well, none of this should have been a surprise to any of us, but it was. So, I mean, I can certainly float it by them, but I think the longer we belabor this point, the less there's even a point to doing it, is all I'll say.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It should go out sooner, and if any other groups want to submit their own LTE, then they can.
Yeah, I can just let them know that we're doing it. I'll find that email group and do that. Thanks. It's a good point. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. Okay, so for next meeting, I would try to think about what our 2023 programming should look like. Like, do we still want to, if we're planning a summit, do we still want to do our lunch and learns? And if so, how many and when? So those are some things we should probably think about and start talking about in December. I will bring to the December meeting the Andrea Havel's big folder of things that she had from planning the previous summit, and I will turn that over to somebody, maybe Penny if nobody else, since she's in the commissioner's office, just so that's available to the commission for 2023's planning.
Andrea, I have a question. Just based on recent attendance, maybe 2023 should maybe think about doing lunch and learns, or maybe we need to change our bylaws so that we can do educational events and not just the summit. The summit is a lot of work and needs a lot of people. So we
Yeah.
have to have buy-in in order to be able to put something on like that. Plus it's a lot of
Well,
money raising too, funding.
Yeah. This is again another thing that's not just a bylaw thing, but is actually a resolution that was
Ordinance,
passed
yeah.
by the commissioner, an ordinance by the commissioners. So in order to change that directive, we would have to get the commissioners to approve that change. But and that may be worth doing. I think that the lunch and learns have been much more much easier for people to put together than the summit was, for sure. I think
At least so we had the choice for the year and could make a decision and not, flout our ordinance.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And maybe
So
I'll
we're
reach out. Sorry, what's up?
It's my fault. Keep going, Erica. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. I was just gonna say I can reach out to Penny and see, if she can give me a feel for what the commissioners would think about that. I was kind of planning to do kind of an exit interview with Penny a little bit anyway, and just let her know some of my concerns. Like I've just really had a hard time, I feel, getting some things off the ground. And I'm not pointing fingers or blaming anyone. I think it is partially the time of day that we're meeting and those kinds of issues. But this will be one of the things I can talk about, is just the resources required to do a summit. Maybe we should give the group the option to choose what's the best way to work on public education. So I'll bring that up with Penny and see what she thinks. And then maybe with Molly as well. Sorry, Nick, did you have something?
So the summit we're planning for 2023, right?
Yep.
Like we don't have to do the largest summit in the world. You know what I mean? Like I've been to some smaller things that have really been effective, you know, like,
Yeah.
I'm talking about 2 half days and that's it, or 1 day and a half day. And that's it. You know what I mean? I don't know how long the summit's planned for, but like we can laser focus it. We don't have to do, you know, a drawn out thing. And I definitely agree with what you're saying, like doing other sessions throughout the year would be way more effective to our community than one big summit. You know what I mean? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah. If we're doing the summit though, let's just make sure we get like some good people. You know what I mean? I don't know how much money we have to do that or to get that. I haven't seen the budget or anything.
We have something like over $25,000 in funds. So I don't think any of these details have been hammered out. I think it's going to be decisions that are going to need to be made, you know, early 2023. And at the December meeting, we should really probably think about who's going to be the lead on that project. And because somebody, you know, somebody's got to kind of be the point person or it's just not going to get organized, you know. Okay. I know that last time I had emailed out the memo from Molly Turner King about opioid settlement funds, and I know that Nick had some questions about it. And to be honest, I'm not sure that I could answer them. So, and Molly couldn't be here today, but I don't know if you all saw that she emailed out an offer to answer any of your questions if you just shoot her an email. So, I think she's willing to be accessible if you have questions. I think Nick, especially, I know you were hoping maybe to get a building or some other resources for Indiana Recovery Alliance. So I would recommend that you touch base with Molly, but if you need my help in getting some time with her, I'm happy to help you out with that.
I'll take any help I can get.
Okay. Molly's very accessible. She used to be my one of my deputies, so she's great, but she's the one that did the research and is probably going to be you know, working on the distribution of the opioid settlement funds at some point as the attorney for the county. So
Have you heard much about that, Erica, about what they're thinking or what they're planning?
not beyond what I think what has been shared with the group. My like gut feeling based on the Community Justice Response Committee meetings that for those of you who don't know, there's this Community Justice Response Committee. It's got members of the county council, members of the commissioners. I'm on it, public defenders on it, some judges are on it. And it's mostly formed to respond to the reports that the commissioners had like the studies that were done that recommend first that we need to build a new jail, but also like expansion of treatment options in the community to try to avoid people going into jail, and also to try to make sure that people who have been in jail aren't reoffending, like have the resources that they need to not come back into the system. So they formed this committee to work on that. And I can tell you that, you know, there's been a lot of discussion about needing more mental health and substance use resources in the community. So I would be surprised if there wasn't some idea to maybe try to use some opioid settlement funds for that purpose, but I haven't heard anything concrete about that.
My big worry is that all of it'll go to prevention or law enforcement, which I understand some of it needs to go there anyways, but like as long as we can capitalize on some of it for us, I think it'd be amazing, you know? I mean, even for the SUDAC commission, like, I mean, all these efforts that try to make positive change in our community that's outside of that area, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a no-brainer to me. Sorry, I'm not choking on my Snickers, or I'd finish that one out.
That's okay. You know, Nick, I can't, I want to be very clear that I can't give you legal or other advice, but, you know, kind of my impression would be if you started putting together a plan early and, you know, presented it to the commissioners, that you might, you know, you might be in luck. So, um, but maybe Molly can help navigate some of the questions about what those proposals look like and what is.
Thank
in
you
the-
for that not legal advice.
Um. All right, anything else on that? Like I say, I don't feel like I'm as well versed on it as Molly, so hopefully she can answer any questions you may have. Last thing I have is distribution of posters and brochures. There's still posters and brochures available from last year's public information campaign. And so if you have spaces for that in your lobbies or you know, of businesses or other, you know, nonprofits or whatever that could use that information, please stop by the commissioner's office and grab some of those stuff. They're really beautiful. I'd like to see them continue to get distributed. The nice thing is too, we also have them in English and in Spanish, so. I think that's it. Our next meeting is December 16th at noon. Like I said, we are gonna need to decide who the next president, vice president, and secretary are. So please let me know if you're interested in serving in those roles. Please think about who would be interested in working on the summit. And think about, you know, future lunch and learn opportunities. All right, anything else for the good of the order? All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All right, thank you so much, everyone who showed up and participated today. Have a nice weekend and a nice Thanksgiving.
Thanks, be safe.
Thanks, Erica. You too.
Bye, you guys.
Bye-bye.